We went to Guinness Book of World Records and said, hey, we want to be able to mow a football field with at least 6-inch high grass and do it under an hour.
Are you allowed to tell us more, or is that top secret?
Gosh, you're going to get me in trouble here.
What's changing now from Kohler Engines to Rehlko?
We make diesel engines, we make gas engines, and what we've really been trying to leverage now is like, how do we kind of combine the strengths of both of those?
We're hearing from so many companies, tariffs. Break it down in a basic way of how that's impacting our industry.
You're sometimes competing with somebody that may be sourcing out of India and China, or somebody that's sourcing out of Thailand or Vietnam. And it can automatically turn and give somebody an advantage or give somebody a disadvantage that they didn't have before.
Our biggest issue right now is labor. It's very hard to find somebody who will show up and do a good job. What kind of leadership tips can you give to build a good team of employees?
Well, I think it starts with
All right, welcome to Louisville, Kentucky. I'm here with Eric Fontaine. He is the president of Rehlko Engines. What's up, Eric?
not much. Happy to be here, Paul.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people wondering, Kohler Engines is now Rehlko, so we're going straight to the president. No Presidente here to help us understand the big change.
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. I think we were Kohler Energy Group, as part of Kohler. Back in September of 2024, we made the change to become Rehlko. I think that was an initial, especially at Equip Expo that happened last year. I know that was kind of a brand new thing that a lot of people are still kind of getting through. I think that people become more familiar with the brand and the name. It's, the reason for Rehlko, and that question comes up kind of regularly, which is it's really an anagram. It's a rearranging of the letters of Kohler to come up with Rehlko. In addition, the KO in Rehlko is really a nod to Kohler and our 100+ year heritage. The RE at the beginning is really around resilience, reliability, reinvention, and those type of words. And, then the H and the L kind of fell into place. And so that's kind of how we got Rehlko.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, we'll get back to Rehlko in a minute, but I want to get to know Eric a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you live in Wisconsin?
That's right, Milwaukee. Yeah.
But you're originally from Jacksonville, Florida?
No, originally I'm from Grand Forks, North Dakota. So I've actually met a couple of people here from Grand Forks, which is interesting and not common. But I started my first 18 years there. Went to school out on the East Coast, and then I joined the Navy, and so that kind of
where did you go to school at?
The United States Naval Academy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that got me in the Navy for about 6.5 years after that. And that's when I was down in Florida, out of Mayport, Florida.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, you bet.
So what did you do after you got out?
So when I got out, it was interesting because, when you're in the military, you kind of, things related to ships and the United States Navy, and any business in the civilian world is kind of wondering, like, what skills, translate and can be applied for somebody like Eric. But for me at the time, it was IT was really big on IT consulting. And so I actually started out on that track, a company called Perot Systems, a company that Ross Perot had founded. And I did that for a few years. But for me, and having gone to the Naval Academy, I knew I needed more tangible business skills and knowledge. And so for there, I actually went to Duke for my MBA for a couple of years, just full time, to get more immersed in that discipline and that background. I loved it. Learned a tremendous amount. At the Naval Academy, it's more focused on engineering and leadership skills, not as much business. No business actually. And so it was a really good opportunity, I think, to get to understand business better. And when I did that, I then went to Brunswick Corporation. So I worked for them for a few years, got into strategic planning, business development, product management. Then I went to, this is transformative for me. Then I went to Danaher and really learned a lot about lean tools and process, policy deployment, things that I'm leveraging today at Rehlko that we can talk about later for sure. That was out in Boston. I did that for a few years. And then I went to Regal Rexnord, which I was there for the last 14 years.
What's it called?
It's Regal Rexnord. It was Rexnord at the time, and then we were acquired by a company called Regal. It became Regal Rexnord, based out of Milwaukee, and that's kind of what got me there about 8 years ago. I was there on and off for a few different stints, and got to do a lot of different things, got my hands in operations, got to run a plant as a plant manager, had a lot of exposure on the product management and marketing side and the strategic planning again as well. And again, applied a lot of those lean tools and policy deployment. So it was, at the time, I think it was a really good fit back in January when I got the opportunity to come on board with Rehlko, see what a great company it is, see all the great opportunity we have in front of us, which is really kind of how our new owners, Platinum Equity, see it as well. And I couldn't have been more thrilled to come on board.
And then at what point did a family come along? Did you got a wife and kids? Or?
I do. Yeah, I have a wife. Gosh, you're gonna get me in trouble here for since 2008. I won't do the math.
She's probably not listening to a podcast about it.
I think that's 17 years. Yeah, 3 children. So I got a 10-year-old boy, Connor, 12-year-old boy, Evan, and then Caitlin, who's 14 years old. So they're kind of spread out.
So you took the role as president in January?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's it been like this year?
It's been really interesting. I think, I started the 3rd week of January, and before I knew it, I think a week in, we were talking about tariffs. Tariffs happened in February. It was really an interesting time to, one, trying to understand and learn the business, having to lean on, the leadership team that I had to really understand our customers, the actions and the issues that were in front of us. But yeah, it was a difficult time, right? Because I think as we looked at that, it was, it's hard to absorb those tariffs. You need to look at how you can pass those on, how you can do it appropriately and work with your customers. So that was very challenging from the beginning. I think the other part, I had a good team. It was good coming up to speed on the business. But again, going back to what I said earlier, I saw the opportunity. I think there was more opportunity to get more orderly, a little bit more disciplined, leverage the tools, like I said, from Danaher and Rexnord that I had used to great success on how we can focus on customer excellence as well as operational excellence to really move the business forward in a real disciplined way. So I think those have been helping as we really, these last 9 months, it's been a journey. We've had, I think the real strength for us for sure is on the engineering side. We've always engineered great engines. We've got some really exciting engines to talk about that we're talking about here at Equip Expo that we've launched. But for us, I think going above and beyond that on the things around the engine, and that, again, coming back to the operations piece, how we approach customers and treat our customers has been front and center.
Yeah, we were just out at the Vermeer debut. They have some new mini loaders with the Rehlko engine on there and the turbo. Very exciting. So,
yeah, we've been, I feel coming into this role, a little bit blessed and fortunate in the sense that that's the KSD. So our Kohler small displacement engines on the diesel side, it's a recent launch. They're about a year and a half that they've been out in the market, building momentum, taking share. Just a really great, compact, torque-dense engine. But then, that's on the diesel side. And then, of course, on the gas engine side, which is mostly, more popular here at this kind of show, we have now the new Command Pro 888 that is now launching, and then a higher horsepower version of the Command Pro 999. So it's really highlighting the innovation and our engineering expertise to really go after what the customers want and need.
And what's the difference between the Command Pro 888 and the Command Pro 999?
The Command Pro 888 is, to me, that's just a bottoms up, full, brand new innovation, new product development engine. And that one's really exciting for that reason. It is a bottoms up, voice of customer, pulling all that in to make really the most powerful engine in that class. We call that a mid block that's in the below 900 cc. And for us, it's a compact engine, very quiet engine, incredibly efficient, but it goes up to 34 horsepower and 51 foot-pounds of torque, which is absolutely the most powerful mid-block on the market. So the power is great. The feedback has been fantastic from our customers have been trying and testing it for a better part of a year. I truly haven't heard a negative thing about it, so that part has been exciting. That goes back to my comments earlier of focusing on making sure that it is absolutely operationally and manufacturable product that is going to have high quality and repeatability to ensure that we have those features out in the market. But we're taking care of those, and I feel good about it. So that's the 888. On the 999 side, that's what we consider a big block engine. This is a horsepower engine that goes from 36 to 38 horsepower, but now for us, it goes to 41 horsepower. So that will be the largest horsepower engine in the market. The 41 horsepower version will come out next year. The power is amazing, and we have a pretty exciting event around the Guinness Book of World Records that we're doing with that 41 horsepower engine as well. So it's really, really exciting.
Are you allowed to tell us more, or is that top secret?
Around the 41 horsepower or the record? No, it's, ultimately the event is really to highlight, I think, the durability and the productivity of, and the power of that 41 horsepower engine. And so we went to Guinness Book of World Records and said, hey, we want to be able to mow a football field with at least 6-inch high grass and do it under an hour. And they said, yeah, that's not been done before. Wow. We're in, let's do it. And so, we kind of think it's a really fun and interesting way to market our product. We're holding an event here at Equip Expo to, have people kind of put together a little video on why they can be the person that drives it and kind of get some airtime for themselves, and that'll be kind of fun and interesting. And that's what I love about Nino, who leads our marketing. I think you find some kind of unique and interesting ways to kind of put that forward. And I think the other part of what we're trying to really get across is that you have to be mowing really long grass. It's not about just driving it fast. It's got to be able to cut as well, and just really, again, consuming that engine power.
Is this your first year at Equip Expo, or have you been here before in your other?
This is my first year at Equip Expo.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So what do you think? We got about 29, 30,000 rednecks here. We all like lawnmowers and power equipment. What's your initial thoughts here at Equip Expo?
It's amazing, right? Because there's so many. You get to see everybody here. It's a great site for being able to see all the equipment manufacturers that we work with, some that we don't, that you see potential to work with. Obviously, seeing your competitor set and the things that they're doing as well is interesting. But yeah, it's a wonderful show. It's a big show. I still have a lot more to explore, I think, over the next day or two. But yeah, it's been really, really good. I think we've had a lot of meetings. It just helps facilitate, I think as it pertains to business, talking to your customers, it's a really great venue for being able to see a lot of them all in one location. So that part's been really good.
So Eric, I've been to Hattiesburg, Mississippi before and watched back when it was Kohler Engines. Like I got to watch the engines being built. I mean, it's a very, very fascinating process to go from one part of the assembly line to the finished product getting ready to be shipped out. Is that where the engines are going to continue to be made, or what's changing now from Kohler Engines to Rehlko?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Paul. I think, so the answer is yes. Our twin engines continue to be built in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Our brand new 888 and the 999 that I was talking about also are built down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We've really been focused on, again, operationally, how we can be better. And so we've made some investments and some positive changes, I think, in that facility, as well as the people down there, to make things even better as we go forward. But we're excited about the growth opportunities. Like I said, with these new engines, I think we're going to see a lot more growth. It's ensuring that we're really, again, putting quality and delivery front and center for our customers, because that's super important.
Okay. And then I know Kohler was obviously in Kohler, Wisconsin.
Yep.
So what's kind of the headquarters now for Rehlko?
So for all of Rehlko, the headquarters is now in Glendale, which is basically a suburb of Milwaukee. So still in Wisconsin, but closer to Milwaukee is where the Rehlko headquarters are. And we got, five business units, if you will, or divisions that are part of Rehlko. For engines, we're still spread out across a number of sites. We're a global company, and as such, we're our gas engineering and some of our administrative positions like finance and marketing and such, or product management, are done out of our Kohler, Wisconsin location. So that continues. Manufacturing down in Hattiesburg, as we mentioned, we also have single cylinder gas engine manufacturing that's done in China. For our diesel side of the business, we have a very large campus that's in Reggio Emilia, Italy. Our engineering for diesel is there. Our entire global marketing team is there. And then our manufacturing, our broad manufacturing of diesel is done there. We also do our diesel manufacturing in India as well. So really 4 main locations where we do that: 2 for gas, 2 for India, 2 for gas, 2 for diesel. Like I said, between Kohler and Kohler, Wisconsin and Reggio Emilia, kind of where our other functions are.
Okay. I follow Craig Magdalene on LinkedIn, so I can kind of see different things you guys are doing here at Equip. What's kind of the objectives or the initiatives of what you guys are trying to accomplish this week in Louisville? It's a big push around the innovations I talked about in new product development. And again, I think that's been really, really positive. The feedback on the 888, especially the mid-block, has been fantastic. So we've been spending a lot of additional time on that. I think one of the things that's really important about the 888 that I didn't mention earlier is that we make diesel engines, we make gas engines. And what we've really been trying to leverage now is like, how do we kind of combine the strengths of both of those? Where we have a lot of strength on the diesel side is around how we test and launch product. And we have applied that now to the gas engine side. And the first result or product of that is at the 888. And the other part is again, it's always helpful to talk to customers that are here, what they're experiencing, how they're seeing, how the market's going. We talked about tariffs earlier. Yeah. What are they experiencing? How have things been going demand-wise? How do they kind of see things for 2026? So it's a good opportunity to kind of get your finger on the pulse of the market and how things are going as well. Can you explain to a lawn care business owner who's just here in the United States, and we're hearing from so many companies, tariffs. Yeah. Can you break it down in a basic way of how that's impacting our industry? It can be a pretty significant impact. I mean, as we're
China and India have been some of the biggest tariffs that we've seen as they've come out. And certainly when the China tariffs jumped over 100, got up to like 145%, that was really significant, right? For anybody that's bringing product back into the United States from India like that. For us, we have a China facility that does single cylinder engines, so that was absolutely an impact. And for companies like us, we can't just directly absorb all of that. And so we have to pass at least some of that on to our customers. Our OEMs, and then our OEMs have to make the decision whether to pass that on to the end customer. And so that's been really, really challenging. On the India side, similar, it's at 50% now. I think a lot of our conversations have been around just that. We expect it to come back down to something lower. All the conversations and the things that we've seen in the media and on the news point to positive things there that will bring that down to something under 50. But today it's at 50. And we've got some customers that are really hurting from that because it's really putting so much margin pressure on them. It's difficult to compete. And as you can imagine, when you're in a global economy, you're sometimes competing with somebody that may be sourcing out of India and China, or somebody that's sourcing out of Thailand or Vietnam. And so what those tariffs are can matter. And it can automatically turn and give somebody an advantage or give somebody a disadvantage that they didn't have before. Yep.
I'm curious about you being the president of Rehlko Engines. What does that look like? Like, what are your roles and responsibilities as the president?
Yeah. Well, it's big, right? I mean, it's a big division. It's a big company. It's a big responsibility. And, I certainly, when I look to our team, we have just great people throughout, fantastic passion. Like I mentioned at the beginning, fantastic products. I mean, just such great commitment, I think, to our customers, to our engines, and the rest. So that part's been really, really exciting. But for me, I mean, I'm tasked with growing the business, right? Like that's a big and important thing. It does not come without change. And so I think that's the biggest thing is just, I think the adaptation to change, and all the transformational pieces that come with that. And trying to make sure that we can monitor people and kind of as we layer these out, how much change can they accept? And there's been a lot of change right from the beginning, right? So it's been, we just talked about it. We went from Kohler to Rehlko. That in and of itself is a big change. We went to a new owner in Platinum Equity. That's very different than a family-owned business in Kohler. Another big change. They now have a new president, which is me. Another big change, right? And so. But at the same time, as I've told them, change is the constant. It's like if we're not changing, we're going to be falling behind, and we got to make sure that we're trying to make ourselves better. And it's something we layer in all the time, which is called continuous improvement. We've had put a lot of focus around the most important customers, or what I call 80-20 broadly. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you get overwhelmed with all the things you want to do. And so really it's looking at where does 80% of your efforts go, and where are the 80% of the results coming from?
That's good. Our audience, Eric, they either own a lawn care business or a landscaping business. Mm-hmm. And so our biggest issue right now is labor. It's very hard to find somebody who will show up and do a good job. It's very difficult. So with your leadership experience, and I'm sure going back to the Navy throughout your career and now as a president with all this, what kind of leadership tips can you give to these small business owners who are just struggling to build a good team of employees?
Well, I think it starts with, and you're right, that is always a challenge, right? I think it starts with leadership. It's like, it's training your people well, so they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I think it's recognizing and rewarding people as well. If those are things that we've been focusing on in our group as well, because you're right. We live, I would say live and die, but we live and die by the great people that work for us, right? Mm-hmm. It's like we could have great engines and great products, but at the end of the day, we need great people. Mm-hmm. They're at the center of everything we do. And getting and retaining that talent is sometimes one of the most challenging things in a business. And certainly I think the same is true of a landscaping business or lawn care business as well. So I think it starts with that. And if you can do that, and then also, can you find a path for people career-wise, which I think is another thing that we're working on, because sometimes, and it's difficult in smaller businesses, right? They can be kind of flat in nature, but can you also differentiate job skill as well within that? Because sometimes we don't do that. We'll treat somebody that comes on board that has less than a year experience and somebody that has 10 years of experience, and we'll say they're the same, but are they? You got to question that sometimes and say, well, no, really, the person that has 10 years of experience can do so much more, and I need to recognize that and maybe treat them differently, either by scale, pay scale, or recognition, or other things that they can do within your business. And the final thing I would say is just, are you challenging your people enough and rallying to the cause of where you want to drive the business, right? Sometimes we put too much ownership on ourselves as the leaders of a business, and we're not leveraging and delegating to the people that work for us. They're closest to the action that's happening. They sometimes have the very best ideas on how to grow and sustain the business.
That's good. How is it with your global marketing team in Italy? You're in Wisconsin, completely different parts of the world. How do you guys grow this thing together, being separate like that?
It really was kind of separate to be. It's a great question, because when I first came in, it was amazing. There was kind of the diesel business and there was the gas business, and they were talked about separately, and even the strategies were separate. And we have now I've combined that into, there's just one strategy, it's an engine strategy. While there are differences, and we acknowledge those differences, we really do talk about one cohesive engine strategy, and we do see advantages where both can play off of each other very well. I mentioned one with how we've leveraged reliability testing and new product development testing to launch a product from diesel and move that into gas to make us better. But there's many others too. I think we're starting to see now customers are starting to use both. We have customers that use both diesel and gas, and are we in there really kind of querying that and seeing the opportunities how we can better serve and best serve our customers, and do they know the differences between both, and when why a diesel here, why gas here? So we're definitely pulling that together more, and some of it has been organizationally, where I have like one engineering lead now that reports to me that's in charge of all of gas and diesel, not separate anymore. And we're kind of doing that throughout the business. But I think those are kind of the biggest changes to bring that together strategically, and then how we deploy our strategy going forward.
That's good. Was there anything we're leaving out here that needs addressed?
No, I think you even asked questions about my family and where I grew up, so I think you covered it.
I have more, but I want to make sure we cover the engines. But
no, I think you covered it on the engines. Again, we're like super excited. It's great to have new products to launch and talk about that our customers are excited about, and that we know are going to add great value. So that part's been really, really rewarding. And I think we covered everything else.
As we land the plane, I am curious. You spent a lot of time out on the sea in the ship. What's your craziest story you feel comfortable sharing on my podcast?
Let's see, which one am I okay sharing? Well, I will say this: I was actually on a large Aegis cruiser, which is about a 574-foot long ship, 121 missiles. Has all the radar that defends the carrier battle group. So it's a very technologically advanced ship, very cool ship. And we were working with an aircraft carrier. I will keep her name out of it. But we were doing a certain drill with them, and we got so close that they got so close to us that they bumped our ship. That was very, very scary when that happened. And there's we could do a whole podcast on how all the events that led up to that. But that was a really scary time and interesting thing that happened. And I think the final thing I would say that I relish about my time in the military is that they give you huge amounts of responsibility as a young person. And so when I was in my early 20s, you get tremendous opportunities to lead, do really, really complex, very dangerous scenarios that, again, were super rewarding, just great experiences and great people and cherished memories that I have to this day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, we've been partnered with Kohler Engines for so many years, and now it's Rehlko. We appreciate the continued partnership. I know you're sponsoring the morning show, big podcast we're doing. Yeah. So in summary, can you explain what the transition is now with Kohler Engines to Rehlko, just so we're all clear?
Yeah, the transition for us is that, it's the same. I want to make sure people understand the connection between Kohler and Rehlko, because Rehlko is Kohler Engines. And what's exciting about, and again, the anagram and the rearranging of letters is meant to signify and make note of that. What's really exciting, though, is that the investment in innovation that we have from our new owners, the opportunities that they see in Rehlko Engines and Rehlko as a whole is evident. That's why they bought us. That's what was exciting about it. It's really a breakout opportunity for us. I think it's us breaking out from underneath where we were under the plumbing and hospitality group to really be able to focus on what engines can be and will be going forward. So we're really excited at the inflection point and what Rehlko will actually mean in the next few years going forward.
When we're buying our equipment, Eric, I'm noticing it still says Kohler Engines on some of the engines. When will we start seeing Rehlko?
Yeah, great question, Bob. That is. So we are allowed to use the Kohler brand up through really the end of 2026. So you will still see that. We started, transitioning that where you'll see both Rehlko and Kohler on a lot of the engines. But yeah, once we get into 2027, and certainly past Q1 of 2027, no more Kohler will be on.
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think you covered everything. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Eric.
All right.